Hello everyone, I'm Alka Chaturvedi back with another video for you. This video is for the students of class 10th CBSE. The chapter that I'm going to take up today is a letter to God. A letter? Which letter? Who wrote a letter? Why did he write a letter? To God? Did God actually reply to that letter? To find out the question to all these, let's move ahead. So, A Letter to God by G L Funtes. G L Funtes is the writer of the story. He was a Mexican poet and a novelist who was born in 1895 and he passed away in the year 1966, the year I was born. This is a story about Lancho, a farmer. A farmer who lived happily with his wife and children at the crest of a hill. And what happened later, we'll find out in this story. Lancho was a very caring head of the family. He cared for his family and he worked day in and day out to look after his family. He labored like an ox. He had a good knowledge about farming and he knew when his fields needed a downpour and what his fields needed. He had utmost faith in God and he knew how to read and write. Yet he was a very simple and an innocent farmer who could not reason out the things. Once, when he was farming on his fields, he was staying happily with his wife. That year, it did not rain. What does a farmer need? The rains. If rains come, he has a happy field, blooming fields. But when the rain is not there, the farmers, you must have heard about the farmers' suicides. Yes, what happens when they are unable to plow on the fields? They do not get a good harvest. When they do not get a good harvest, it becomes very difficult for them to run their families. And so, that year it did not rain. The only thing that Lancho was expecting was a downpour. And if not a downpour, a shower of rain. If he would get that, he would be happy. But to his sadness, there were no rains. So he was praying to God for a downpour or a shower. And God did listen to him. It started raining. His happiness knew no bounds. But that happiness was not long lasting. Suddenly the downpour changed into hailstorms. And you know, hailstorms are a reason of destruction. These hailstorms destroyed all the leaves, plants, trees, flowers, and everything. It was utter destruction. And Lancho thought there would be no crops this year. Now, when all doors close, a single door opens, and that is the God's door. There was only single hope, and that was the help from the Almighty God. So Lancho started writing a letter to God. He wrote to God that he needed 100 pesos. Why? He needed 100 pesos to sow his fields again and to live until the new crops came. Once the new crops would come, he will be easily able to run his family. So he needed 100 pesos to sow his fields again and to take care of his family. He writes this letter and he puts it into the post box. When the postman collects the letters from the post box, he brings them to the post office. And when he brings them to the post office, the letters are segregated. And when he was segregating and putting the stamp on these letters, he came across this address. Now, what was this address? To God. Which category am I going to put? Where am I going to deliver this letter? Thought the postman. And then he laughed, mocking at the person who had written the letter. And he takes this letter to the postmaster. Initially, the postmaster also laughed at him, but soon realized that there must be something serious, that a person is writing a letter to God. Postmaster is quite serious and he thinks that this man must actually be in need. So he decides to write a letter back to Lanch. He reads in the letter that he needs 100 pesos. Now he alone could not manage that money, so he asked the other employees of the post office to contribute. Everybody did contribute from the post office, and he made his contribution from his salary and he collected 70 pesos. Something is better than nothing. So he took those 70 pesos and he put the money in the envelope and he wrote Lancho's address and he posted that letter. Lancho, who had that unstinting faith in God, was not surprised, not at all surprised. He was thinking, I have asked God, God is going to give it to me. So he received the money and it was not a surprise for him. His happiness was turned into anger on counting the money. He said, I had asked for 100, God has only sent 70. But he believed that God is not going to deceive him. He had so much of faith in God. So he started writing another letter to God. That I had asked for 100, you have sent me 70 only. So what did he write in that letter? The second letter, he wrote, God, please do not send the rest 30 pesos via post. Send it via mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Imagine, you do not know what the other person is thinking about you. You may be doing a good to other person, but what the other person has it in his mind, you never know. And this is what Lancho thought. He had so much of faith in God that he started thinking that God has said 100 pesos. But it is the post office people who have taken away the 30 pesos. So you see that Lancho had utmost faith in God. Now let's look at the characters of Lancho. Lancho has some good characteristics and a few not so good. Every coin has got two sides. Every person has two faces. Lancho was sincere, truthful. He was a man of morals, quite religious, hopeful, faithful to God. He worked firmly and gave his best to his fields. He was an innocent man, quite hardworking. He was an ox of a man. He had a firm conviction that God cannot make a mistake, and neither will God deny his request. That is why he writes the letter to God. Now look at the other side of the coin. He was a bit greedy. Every man has ups and downs in his life. But when there was a downfall in his life, he started asking God for help. He trusted that God is going to send him the money. He was greedy for the money. Then he depends upon his belief for the God for the recovery from the destructions. And moreover, he is blaming the people who have actually helped him, the post office people who had actually helped him. He said they are the ones, they are a bunch of crooks. So you see, the theme of this lesson is that faith in God cannot be shaken. The sub-theme could be that kind souls do exist in this world. They are the messengers of God. They help. And if you want to be a messenger of God, do wake up, stand up, and help the needy. That is a lesson that I could learn, and I hope that you have also learned. I hope you have understood the chapter. I hope you have understood the story of this unflinching faith in God. And if you have liked it, do share, subscribe, and like my video. Do tell others. You never know which child may be helped. And wish you a happy learning. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.